Jamie Gum.
Yeah.
I just thought it sounded good. I love the name Jamie and pretty much chew bubblegum all day when I'm working. So that was the
You
first
had no
thing.
correlation to Buffalo Bill when you did that name?
Oh, is that why everybody keeps calling me Silence of the Lambs? No.
So you just randomly picked the name Jamie Gum, not noticing about the Buffalo Bill and the Silence of the Lambs kinds of reference there?
No, I've always loved the name Sarah or Jamie.
Okay. And also, a couple of things. So you said if your job finds out, you'll lose your job.
Yeah.
And again, you're willing to risk your job and the support that you're going to provide for your family for this, right?
Unfortunately.
Do you, from what I'm hearing from you, you've put your wife through a lot, right? You've suffered from mental health conditions. You've also suffered from addiction, and now you're doing this. And she stayed with you.
Yeah.
Do you think it's time maybe to give your wife and kids a break?
No, she's suffered from mental health issues and addiction issues too. And no matter what the two of us have had, we said that we would stay with each other in sickness and in health. And where I'm up and she's down and I'm up, we've always stuck by each other's side. So, no.
But you said you're willing to lose your children over this, and your job, your family, your wife, everything.
Fortunately, I did not lose my family and kids. I don't know what I was thinking at the moment. I just knew I needed to get out of it. And I guess, I don't know I don't want to say what I would have done had they.
But you said you wouldn't have done anything. You said you wouldn't have stopped doing this. I asked you the question directly. I said, if your wife gave you an ultimatum and said, me and the kids or this, you said you would continue doing what you're doing and you let your wife and kids leave, right?
So I would continue to do that, but had they left, that's where, I couldn't live without them.
Okay. All right. A couple of other questions too. First, when you go back to the lesbian thing, right? Extremely, extremely dangerous and gaslighting for your wife, and I'm going to tell you why. When I've spoken to other trans widows, so I would consider your wife a trans widow now because now her husband is gone, right? She doesn't have a husband anymore. Now she's dealing with this specific thing. So she married a man. She had an expectation to be with a man until she passed away. And even though you are still a man and you want to take on this, look, persona, whatever, I'm sure she's mourning what she had with you prior to this whole debacle of makeup and lashes and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So when I spoke to other trans widows, they were told by therapists that they also were lesbians. Okay. But lesbians are females. Okay. And you can never consider yourself a lesbian because you're male. You've got your wife pregnant. You use your peen to get your wife impregnated, and you have 4 children with her. And I don't understand why you would say something like that, because it's first of all, it's blatantly false. And secondly, it's extremely harmful and dangerous to your wife. Extremely harmful. Now she's going to think that she's maybe a lesbian. She's not. She's not. Okay, let's just be clear for that. That's one. 2, what would it take, you think, for you to stop doing this and just go back to normal life and let your kids and wife just, go through life with a dad? Because Envy did mention earlier that you wanted your daughter to call you mom, right?
I did want to, but if she's not comfortable with it, I'm okay with that.
Again, extremely harmful for your children to make them call you mom. They have a mom. Their mom is your wife. Men can't be mothers. That's a female role. That's a role that only women take. And I find it, me personally, as somebody with 2 children and somebody that suffered infertility and many miscarriages and IVF and all this other stuff, I find it extremely offensive that you want to refer to yourself and make your daughter call you mother. It's another dangerous thing to tell your child. Just like it's dangerous to tell your wife that she's a lesbian.
I would never make her.
I think just the simple fact of you asking her is enough. Right? And then you said you lost your relationship with your oldest child over it, right?
Unfortunately, yeah.
And that's not enough to make you stop because you're here today.
I mean, I know you're not going to like this. I would rather be here like this than be gone.
Than be with your children?
Well, be gone living how I was. If do you understand what I'm saying?
So you're saying that you'll take your own life?
I'm just saying there's a potential with severe depression and having been in the hospital several times, there would be a potential.
So by you doing this presentation, it makes you feel that you don't want to do that? I'm trying to fill in the gaps.
Yes.
So I obviously don't advocate for that, right? You're a father, you have children, you have a wife, you have a family. Like, nobody should do that at all, regardless of what the situation is that you're presented with and the situation that you present your family with. I just look at it as you've lived a really long time as a man, and now you're doing this, and now it's kind of causing disruption in your family. Move forward a little bit. You also use women's spaces. You recorded yourself in the women's bathroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you do that?
I will admit I had a little bit too much to drink. We were out. It was something that I've always wanted to.
What do you mean? Always wanted to do what?
Use the correct restroom. That I know you guys don't agree with it.
Well, you've been using the correct restroom for 40 years. Right now, you're using the incorrect restroom.
That's in my perception.
You perceive that you should be using the women's bathroom?
Yes.
Why do you think that?
Because internally, I feel like a female. And it's not something I'm going to do every time. It was something I wanted to do one time. There wasn't really anybody in there, like in the restaurant.
Can I ask you, how tall are you?
I'm sorry?
How tall are you?
6 foot,
How much do you weigh?
180.
You're a big guy.
Yeah,
You think you would make women uncomfortable if you went into the women's bathroom?
I do, but there was nobody in the restaurant. The restaurant was pretty much empty.
Right, but if a woman did go in that bathroom while you were in there, you think you recognize that you would make her uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but you would still go in.
Not if there was anybody in there, no.
Okay. I would just hope in the future that you don't do that, specifically recording in the women's bathroom, extremely violating to women's privacy, that they can't even use a restroom without having a man in there recording himself using the women's restroom. I also noticed in the video that you stood up and urinated in the women's bathroom.
Yes.
Okay, so do you see how that's a problem?
I do. I had a little bit too much to drink I apologize for that.
So do you see how this is a cluster of problems that we're encountering? And
Yes.
I'm trying to make this clear. Using the women's restroom is a problem. Recording in the women's restroom is a big problem. Making your daughter or asking your daughter to call you mommy is a problem. Going on live on TikTok and saying that you're trans and appearing this way is a big problem. Saying that if your wife took your children and if it was an ultimatum between your children and wife and you doing this, you would still continue to do this. So, I mean, this seems to me like this is just about the way that you want to live your life, and you don't care about other women, making your children uncomfortable, losing a relationship with your 21-year-olds. I mean, where are you going to step out and say, you know what, maybe this is not a good idea?
I gave up my whole life for my 21-year-old. I was a single dad for 8 years with my 21-year-old. I lived in Hawaii and gave all that up for her. So she's really my baby, and it breaks my heart that she doesn't want to have anything to do with me.
But you're not going to change. Because I look at it from a parent's perspective, right? I would never want to cause damage to the relationship between me and my children. Nothing is going to take me away from my kids, no matter what and how I felt, what I was thinking, nothing. Okay. And when I asked you that and you're like, well, it breaks my heart, but you're still going to do it anyway. So it doesn't really, I mean, maybe it upsets you, but if you really, really wanted to maintain the relationship with your child, you would give up whatever you needed to give up to make that repair and repair the relationship with your child. But it just doesn't seem like you really, I'm going to be honest, it doesn't seem like you really want to, and it doesn't seem like you really care. It's very nonchalant in the conversation. It's like, well, she doesn't want to talk to me, my heart's broken, but you're not going to stop doing it. So you're going to lose your relationship with your children. And your 7-year-olds, for right now, Daddy lets me put makeup on. I mean, my husband lets my daughters, when they were little, paint his nails. But they were 4 and 3 years old. Okay, so it's fun and games now until you have to go to pick up your daughter from 6th grade, and her dad's in the car with eyeliner on and eyelashes. That's going to be a big problem for her. So you don't know how she's going to feel later on as a teenager.
I know. I haven't got that far yet.
Go ahead, Envy.
A couple days ago, I was just wondering if this was a big mistake to do this publicly. I haven't gone anywhere yet to embarrass her. Like, I haven't taken her to school. I don't go to work like that. I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. I didn't mean to just insult anybody. I know I'm putting myself out there, so you have every right to your opinion about it. I don't know that you can just lump me into the same category as everyone else that you've interviewed.
You're exactly the same characteristics as everybody that I've interviewed. Exactly the same. I've interviewed a man that was in his 60s, that had grandchildren, that transitioned in his 50s, that got his wife pregnant. This man had 7 children, okay? And he left his wife and children to do this, and lost his job, and was in a homeless shelter.
Wow.
Doesn't care, though. Doesn't care.
I do care.
But not enough to stop.
If it came down to it, I guess I would, but if I was going to lose everything, but I just think inside I would be depressed. I would be miserable. Is that fair to me?
Jamie, I think you're depressed regardless. And this is someone who, like, I have struggled with depression my whole life. So I am recognizing that in you. I think you have a lot more going on than this. And for me, I feel like Christy said, you've already lost one child. She wants nothing to do with you, right? For me, if I lost my daughter, my world would end. Like, there's nothing I wouldn't do for her. And I cannot imagine losing her or that relationship. And I don't think that you're seeing what is going to happen down the road. I don't think that you're seeing it, this by you coming out, right? And saying this to your wife and your family and everybody. It's not just about you.